I'm Rachel Steele with KPIP's Local Voices. Today I am here at the beautiful ASHBY HODGE Gallery where they are open and celebrating Black History Month. Today with me is Joe Geist, and thank you so much for the interview, sir.
We are happy to have you back in our midst, Rachel, because we like what you do with interviewing. And so, as you know, you were here just last week to interview one of the present shows in the winter exhibit.
Yes, the one by Aaron Price.
That's correct. And you did that interview at the opening of the exhibit, and now we are looking at the second exhibit that's part of the winter show.
And I hear you're exhibiting, in addition to the Aaron Price show, a variety of African American works to celebrate Black History Month. And some of them are from your permanent collection, and some of them are from active or previously active artists. Can you tell me a little about how the collection came to be? As I understand, this exhibit comes here to be by a lot of lending and some of permanent collections that you have in the ASHBY HODGE Gallery of American Art collection.
That's right. We are trying to show Black American or Afro-American art in the USA, and so we are bringing together here pieces of art from three varied collections. So you're going to get to see, if you come to see the show, you're going to see actually works from the permanent collection. You're going to see works from Dr. Schapoister's collection, and you're going to see from the collection of Byron Smith. Three collections, works from three collections now on display as part of this entire show.
Can you tell me a little bit about Byron Smith?
I can tell you a little about Byron Smith. He is an artist from Colombia, has been working in the art world for quite some time. He once particularly had his own gallery called the Mythmaker Gallery, which was in business, I'd say 30 years ago, and he then left that particular world of gallery, living and buying and selling, and of course started painting. He did a lot of painting himself, and then started collecting artwork. So his work is usually connected with his collection with pieces of art by Black artists or works by artists who use Black subject matter.
Absolutely. And you have three of his works actually from the ASHBY HODGE collection on display as soon as you move into, this is Gallery A?
Gallery 1. And Gallery 1 and Gallery 2 have works for this show. And yes, in Gallery 1, we see three works. As we come into the gallery to our right, in the right wall, we see three works that are part of our permanent collection. Two are watercolors that we bought through the years. Byron is a very good watercolorist, and so we have two works here. One was bought, as I say, in 2010, and the other piece we just received last summer from the William Kuhn's collection. So, and now we have also a wonderful serigraph of Dr. Martin Luther King, which is a beautiful serigraph, which I'm very proud to have in our collection now. We have just bought this from Byron to put into our permanent collection.
Wonderful. This will make a great addition to the museum in future years.
I think so.
And the rest of what's on the right wall and most of what's down the back wall are part of Byron Smith's collection that he has loaned to you for this specific show, correct?
Correct, very, very much so. You'll find two pieces here by the great artist from Colombia, Frank Stack. We have one over here. Very famous semi-nude pieces standing in the light. Joanna Johnson being the model for that piece. That's a watercolorist, Frank Stack work. And over here we have a piece by Frank Stack, which is a lithograph of Dr. Feelgood. Dr. Feelgood was part of the cartoon that Frank Stack actually originated, must have been 40 years ago, and he was very famous as a cartoonist, a nationally known cartoonist, and Frank created this character, Dr. Feelgood, as part of that cartoon. I should say also that Byron and Frank share a studio together in Colombia, and they work together. They often go out and paint. As a group of them go out and paint sometimes once a week. And I would say it's safe to say that Frank was Byron's mentor. I think it's safe to say that.
Well, they produce some beautiful works, and it's amazing that we're actually getting to see a piece of history developing because these artists are still active today.
Yeah, oh yes, here's a piece by Jane Mudd from Fulton, Missouri. We've had a show here of Jane Mudd's. Over here, if you come over here, here is a piece way over here by Brooke Cameron, the great print artist. We have a wonderful piece called Miss Willie. Those of you will know something about Miss Willie if you live in Fulton, Missouri. So that's another very well-known local artist, so to speak, out of the Columbia world. Here is Lawrence Ruggiero, and there is a good piece by him. These are all pieces of artists that we know. And then we have a lot of artists that Byron has met along the way, or he has found works by these particular black artists. I'm very interested in this piece by Miss Grossman, and it is a piece by Roland Hayes. Roland Hayes was a very famous opera singer in the first part of the 20th century and died in 1947, was very outstanding. It was before they permitted blacks to enter the world of Metropolitan Opera, but he sang throughout the world in other opera stages. But there's a lovely etching here with Dry Point by Elias Grossman.
And I might point out that it's right next to Dr. Feelgood, who is a very interesting character. And you'll just have to come in and see him if you're unfamiliar with him, because he looks very interesting.
Oh, yeah, believe me.
Yes, very distinctive.
Look up the cartoons.
Can you tell me a little bit about Clementine Hunter?
Let me just start by saying that Dr. Paul and Lisa Shephoyster, who live in Fayette, they were the ones who were loaning us these works from Clementine Hunter. This is a rather involved story, but I'll just tell it briefly. Dr. Paul's father, Dr. Hugh Shephoyster from St. Paul, Minneapolis, Minnesota, he met Clementine Hunter way back, many, many years ago in the 20th century. He met in Louisiana this folk artist on this Melrose plantation. And he met her and got to know her quite well, started buying her paintings, and before you knew it, I'd say Dr. Hugh Shephoyster had one of the best collections of Clementine Hunter. He has since died, and he has given his works to various museums and galleries. We have two pieces from Dr. Hugh Shephoyster in our collection, but he gave a number of pieces to his son, Dr. Paul, in Fayette, and from that collection that is located in Fayette, we borrowed these pieces for this particular show. The whole story about Clementine Hunter is fascinating, and I would ask you to come in and read the entire biography. But briefly speaking, back in 1938, when she was working on that Melrose plantation, picking cotton, they brought her up from the cotton fields and put her in the main home, the main house on the plantation. And one time there was a man there visiting the plantation, a artist, Francis Mignon, and she saw his paint there, and she saw him painting, and she went over and looked at those paints and said, you know, I could paint a picture if you let me use those paints for a while. And by golly, this was the beginning of Clementine Hunter as an artist, and she went on to paint 4,000 paintings, believe me. Yes, she would paint almost anything she could find. Over here, you'll notice we even have a bottle. She loved to paint bottles, and so we have the Chef Oyster collection, a wonderful bottle that she painted. She painted brown paper bags, anything that she could find, she would paint. And her fame became more and more known throughout the country. She was interviewed on the morning show, on CBS Morning Show. So she got to be quite the popular folk artist. She took care of chickens also on the plantation. Yes, that's correct. Just to give you a feel, I want to throw out some of the titles of these pieces to tell you what she was painting, like Moving Day on the plantation, Baptizing on the Cane River, Hog Killing, Melrose Auction, Pecan Picking on the Melrose Plantation. And here's one I would love called The Adoration of the Magi, where she gives you her own personal view of the Nativity with the three kings coming to visit the Christ child. She has painted her own version of that. Here's another painting called The Wedding. And here's a painting called Boxing Match. Anyway, come and see these delightful, colorful pieces by Clementine Hunter.
Thank you so much, Mr. Geist. We are going to transfer to the other gallery. We'll be right back after this on 94.7 KPIP. This is Local Voices.